All right, good morning. Welcome to the TC Dojo from Single Sourcing Solutions. The TC Dojo is a tech comm community that is driven by you. Tell us what you want to learn. You choose the topics and we find the experts. In the TC Dojo today, we have a special visiting dojo master, Andrew Lawless. Andrew is a best-selling author, a performance coach, an educator, and a consultant. He focuses on inspiring and priming professionals for success. He uses a time-proven and scientifically verified approach to boost team performance. He helps you uncover your strengths and your hidden talents so that working together is easier and more productive than ever before. And he's going to give us a preview of all of that today. Andrew brings a unique blend of experience in behavioral sciences and publishing, localization, and education, and I am fascinated to find out that he served as a trainer and consultant to the FBI and has testified before the U.S. Senate. He's also an adjunct professor at the University of Maryland, which I went to myself. I'm delighted he agreed to present to the TC Dojo today. Now, Andrew wants you to save your questions until the end, so be sure and type them in when you think of them so you don't forget what you wanted to ask. All right, Andrew, I'll pass to you, and it's all yours.
Well, thank you very much, Liz, for that kind invitation. It's a pleasure and honor to be here, and I hope that you can see my screen now.
Yep.
Perfect, so that has worked, so awesome. So today we're talking about from clashing to collaboration, and before I get there, I really want to know if that you are mentally there, right? So please, turn everything off that is operating in the background, like your phones, your tablets, your laptop, smartwatch, whatever you have, any notifications that you may have, turn them off, because we have like 30 minutes together, and I do want you to give yourself this time to discover new strategies. And you work hard, and you deserve this few minutes for yourself. So if you work in a cubicle, and I notice that not everybody can just switch off, just put on those big earmuffs, not the little like earbuds, but the big earmuffs, so to give a visual sign to everybody that you are engaged in something. And if you want to be more obvious, put a little sign, right? Just make sure that you're present for the next 25 to 30 minutes. Some other house rules, as Liz said, there's a question box. So as we go through it, please put in your questions. I will answer some at the end. If we can't get to everything or every question, I will answer them via email or some kind of follow-up. There will be Q&A at the end. And remember, this is a judgment-free zone, and no question is ever dumb. So don't feel like, oh, I shouldn't be asking that. Just ask. And I actually may not always have the answer either. And before we get started, I want to know, I don't know much about you right now, but I assume, because of the invitation that we send out, that you are some kind of a collaborator in a documentation team or content management team, and you work with a diverse set of professions and personalities, from subject matter expert to marketing manager to document organizer or archivist or whatever you have, or writer. And your other content collaborators, for whatever reason, just don't seem to get your point of view, or even drive you nuts. So, and at the same time, you bear the pressure of delivering on time and on quality. It's a lot of stress. And what I do want you to know before we get started, you are not alone. Because 80% of workers feel stress on the job, and nearly half say that they need help in learning how to manage stress. And 40% had even felt like striking a coworker in the past year, but didn't. I certainly have done that in my past. Fortunately enough, I've had the opportunity to learn about this Kolbe framework and other behavioral science aspects that so that I don't need to do that anymore. 87% of employees worldwide are not engaged at work. And I think even about 60% are actively disengaged. What that means is, if you do not take control over your relationships, chances are that your colleagues won't. Since you are here, you are already shown to me that you are willing to take action and control over your relationships. So zen out and be ready for the transformation that begins today. So what you will need to, what you will learn today is how to engage your document stakeholders, how to respond to different personalities, and how to have the freedom to be yourself at work. And I also realized, based on my mailing list, that some of you may not be part of a document team. Stay with us, because everything that we are covering from here on out will be equally valuable and applicable to you. So you will receive an introduction to a scientifically verified framework that enables you to collaborate better on documentation projects or whatever other team you may be. But this presentation is geared toward people in content or documentation teams. As Liz said earlier, most people know me from my work in technical communication and in localization. I do have an equally rich background in behavioral science, and the only reason I put up these pictures here is so that you have proof. I've also trained about 50 sheriff's academies in the United States on de-escalation tactics. So change starts with you. As I said earlier, the majority of people that we work with, we can assume that they are not engaged or even actively disengaged at work. And if we don't do it ourselves, if we don't take charge of our relationships in the team ourselves, nobody's going to do it for us. And it starts with understanding your mode of operation. How you, what that means, like how you would work if you were given the freedom to be yourself. And I have before I get started there, how this works, I have an explanation there in biology, not in psychology, as most probably have assumed, in biology. So if you take a cross section through your brain, you have the neocortex, that's your cognitive, that's where your knowledge sits, and your analytical skills. That's also where language sits, by the way. You have the limbic system, that's your affective, that's how you relate to people, your desires and wants, whether you're an easy person to work with or not, that's all here in the affective. And the cognitive, so the terminology geeks amongst us here, if you look up cognitive, you will not find it in most in most dictionaries, because it's a relatively new term. Like, it has been around for 40 years, but in terms of popularity, it's really gaining traction right now. So on the cognitive really defines how you would naturally take action. And what's important here is that neither the limbic system nor the primal brain have a capacity for language, yet they make all of the decisions for you. So if you go through the cross section of the brain, right? So you have the cognitive, that's where your missing skills are, your knowledge and your judgment. The affective, that's your low motivation, your incapable values, desires and behaviors. Your cognitive, these are your misplaced efforts that cause fatigue without positive results. And we know that the brain begins preparing for an action a few hundred milliseconds before the person is conscious of their desire to perform that action. And that is because all of your decision making, and you might say it's in your gut, it's in your soul, it's from your heart, whatever, right? I hate to break it to you, it comes from your either affective or cognitive parts of the brain where there is no language, capacity for language. That's why sometimes when you see something and it doesn't feel right, that's all you can say, right? It's like, it doesn't feel right, because that judgment will come out from your either limbic system or primal brain. And then the cognitive takes over and tries to explain it. So, and we know that from babies. So the Colby Corp, or Kathy Colby, who invented this entire framework, she has followed people from almost like birth until like into their careers. And what she's noticed is that when babies are born, they come with certain ways of exploring the world. And these ways do not change over time. The only thing that does change is that as we enter the work world, we are asked to follow certain procedures and use certain tools and communicate in specific ways that may not be in line with how we would naturally would do those things. So we try to adjust. But what we do see is that over time, these behaviors, they only become stronger, they manifest themselves in the way we work as we get more mature. And remember, that comes from the primal brain where there is no language. And when babies are born, the cognitive has not really developed yet, right? Yet we see those behaviors. And the ones among us here that are parents, you will know that when you have children, I bet you that at one point, very early in your children's lives, you looked at them and said, my child has character traits that are not me, nor my spouse, or the other parent. I don't know what it is, but it's different. And you can call it a soul, DNA, character makeup, whatever you call it. It's just there and it stays with you for the rest of your life. And parents know that too. And what you see is like, when you give a baby an ice cube, right? They either poke, probe, or investigate. They may hold it against the light, be fascinated by the different colors, the rainbow colors, they see them. They may worry over the growing watery mess. And the ice cube may actually fall off the table. They may grab it, mouth it, pop it out, lose interest, or they just bang it, pound it, throw it against the wall because they need to see it, like how it shatters in pieces and moves through space, right? And what Kathy Colby really did, she put these behaviors into a framework and gave that framework terminology that we can understand it, even though we don't have a capacity for language there, but we can understand it and we can respond to it in an appropriate way. So what it does, the 4 modes that I showed you here, right? These are actually 4 action modes. Fact finder, which defines how we gather and share information. Follow through, how we arrange and design. Quick start, how we deal with risk and uncertainty. And implementer, how we handle space and tangibles. And every action mode has a zone. So we either counteract, we react, or we initiate in an action mode. And that gives us a total of 12 strengths. For example, if you counteract in the first action mode, you have fact finder, you're very good at simplifying. You're probably the one person that I want in my team to write an executive summary. If you are initiated fact finder, you're good at strategizing. You're good at looking at a lot of data and making sense of the data. And you would be my first choice to help me verify data, look at data, research data, and put it together in a way that helps me as your manager, in the case, for example, or the team, to strategize. So we're only talking about strength. We're not saying, this person account as a fact finder may not be the most intelligent person, right? So not the case. People that counteract their fact finder, they simplify. People that counteract and follow through, they adapt. They're good at finding shortcuts. Whereas those that initiate on the other end of the spectrum, they're good at creating plans. So that's your framework. And here I give an example how that framework works. So here's a mode of operations of a natural tech doc author that I actually work with, that wants a real client, right? So high-end fact finder, so very good at research, very naturally good at organizing anything. A 2 in quick start means that person, in case it was she, we call her Maria later on, good at protecting the status quo, and because she's working in an office, she's more like a visual person rather than hands-on person, like a massagist would be, for example, or construction worker would be. So very, very good profile for a tech author. So this is her, right? It's not the actual her, it's just an avatar, but that's Maria with her profile. And what you can expect from her based on their profile is that she will be precise, connect errors, define terms of accuracy, prioritize tasks and dependencies, question frequently and thoroughly, assess, manage risk and uncertainty. She won't generalize and write executive summaries, brainstorm or jump to conclusions, give yes or no answers, take risks, make deals, and deviate from plans, shortcut them. And whenever I talk to, for example, localization companies or tech doc departments, they're basically saying, yeah, the people that are in the upper category here, those are the people that we tend to retain. The people in the lower category, those are people we tend to let go of over time. But now imagine that person working with this guy here, right? Who, based on the MO, will raise the clock, initiate change, improvise solutions, brainstorm possibilities, ad-lib everything, many things that he says will come off his mouth. Is the first time that he hears it himself, right? And will not conform, hesitate, or stick closely to a script. That is a recipe for clashing, and I'll give you an example. Right, when that clashes, that's when two people have two different strengths, right? Cognitive conflict. If they have two different natural ways of doing things. So we call them Mark and Maria. So we have the two profiles here. When you look at the first action mode, fact finder, what that tells me here on the left, number 8, is Maria writes well-documented evidence. Mark actually is very good at editing it well. So the worst mistake that they could make in a relationship is asking Mark to do the research, because he's naturally not that great at it, and let Maria write executive summaries. It will not work, right? But let's put it that way. It doesn't say, the quality system doesn't say that you cannot do it. You can do it, but it will take you much more time, and you probably not do it as well as somebody who has a natural talent. And that's the stress that you feel for yourself, right? If you need to do something that works against your grain. I've worked with somebody who, with Maria here on the left, and she once told me, you know what, I was asked to give an executive summary, and I reduced it to 50 pages in PowerPoint, and I didn't know how to edit it out anymore, right? Not a natural person to write executive summaries. Mark, not a natural person to do research. Again, they can do it, but not as well as somebody who has the natural talent to do that. In the second action mode, follow through is how we organize, right? So what an 8 tells me is that Maria provides continuity, segs from one task to the other. Mark, on the other hand, switches tasks randomly and finds shortcuts. Worst mistake they could make as a team is not following Maria's systems that she built, for example, for compliance, because they will be great, and not using Mark to review Maria's workflows, because Mark is actually really good at finding shortcuts, at simplifying those workflows. So they can work together by, one person building the workflow, the other one helping to make it, to simplify it. In the third action mode, quick start, which is how we deal with risks and uncertainty. So Mark always talks about possibilities. Maria will always note what's permanent and what should not change, and that can drive you nuts, right? If you're a person who has new ideas and wants to implement new ideas and innovation, and people that are you're surrounded by people that want to protect the status quo, that's a clash. But if you are a good project manager, a good the technical writer, you want to do everything that you can, that your documents have good quality, and that the plans are being followed, and that nothing rocks the boat that could be in the way of your deadline or meeting the deadline or the quality. So Mark, on the other hand, may be in marketing, and he wants to make quick changes to promote your products or whatever you want to do and share with the outside world. Worst mistake that they could make is invite Maria to a brainstorm meeting. Do not, if you have a person like that, do not invite her to a brainstorm meeting. They hate it. They don't contribute. They hold the other team back, because they will be the first ones who will tell you why an idea is not working and interrupt your brainstorming right there. they're the better people to go to afterwards and say, you know what, here we came up with all these crazy ideas. Can you fact check them for me? Can you validate them for me? Can you put those into a project plan so that we can make sure we're going to deliver on those ideas? On the other hand, other worst mistake you can make is like Mark push Maria into risks she ought not make, not take. Sorry. In the last category, an implementer, like what it says here, Maria being a tool, Maria is good at imagining how things should work, whereas Mark has a sense of what needs to be done to keep something working, right? And that he will tinker for a while, and Maria will call someone to repair it. That's the person, like when the copying machine or your printer doesn't work. Mark is the one who will, try to fix it himself, whereas Maria already knows, I don't have the skills. Let me call support. So you probably have a colleague in your team that is that way, right? Can drive you nuts at times. So worst mistakes that you can make here as a team is delegating tangible tasks to Maria because she will not naturally do it and rather ask for help, and expecting Mark to convert Maria's imagination into reality. So it's really all a matter of how do we work together. And the first step to do that is to understand how your mode of operation impacts the team, and understanding it's never about you, but it's about engaging your content contributors or your team. So your task is to step out of your mode of operations and essentially give the team what they need in order to take action, or what they need in order to be in the best position to take action. So, for example, fact finders that communicate with written words, data, citations, analogies, and they have a different sense of time. They're built on the past, and these are the ones that ask for benchmarks and previous data that they can build on. Follow-throughs, on the other hand, they're very visual with graphs, charts, diagrams, posters, outlines, and they integrate past, present, and future. They build timelines, which they need to do, right? Because they need to look at the plan, say, what has happened in the past, where are we now, what do we want to achieve, and how we're going to do this and in what time. Quick starts are completely focused on the future. They go right to the bottom line and set deadlines. They typically don't need too many facts in order to make up their minds. They are really good with spoken words, improvised metaphors, visuals, bullet points, intense colors. So if you see somebody in your team who uses intense colors, probably a quick start, or strong in a quick start. Not strong, so I shouldn't say that. There's no strong weakness, but probably in the either high accommodating or initiating area of quick start. And implementers, they're very tangible with props and demonstrations. They're the ones that would actually demo like a machine or any other kind of apparatus. They work with body language, and they are solely focused on the here and now, right? Because they want to preserve and protect the best today. They're not worried what was happened yesterday. They're not worried what's happened tomorrow. They're focused on the here and now. So if you talk to them, if you know somebody's a fact finder, don't give them a demonstration of a product, right? Give them some data, some case studies, and so on. If somebody with a high follow through, talk to that person about how a process is not working for them, the dependencies that they want to achieve, the timelines that they need to build, and so on, rather than giving them data. If you give a quick start, too much data, they feel overwhelmed. They would say, you know what, that person cannot take action. I wish that person could take action in the absence of facts and data. Whereas the follow-throughs will say, you know what, I just need a plan. I need to see the dependencies. If only my colleague would be able to understand business plans and dependencies. So your first step, and we're almost done to go to the Q&A, your first step is to understand your own MO. And for that, you can go to this URL that I've showed down here. And again, it's going to the Quality Corp. It's not going to me. You can buy 1,000 of those Colby A indexes. I will not make a single cent if you go to that link. So I'm not abusing this webinar here to promote my services, but you can go there, and you will, when you go to that link, you will see this index, and all you need to do is click start. Right? You click start and continue. It says Colby credit number there. Disregard that, just click start. Once you click start, you will get to, you need to pay. It's like $39.95. Again, that's money that goes to Colby Corp. It's not my business to sell those indexes, but I do want you to take them because they're so powerful. And what you will get after about 15 to 20 minutes is a complete report of your individual strength report, and that's the cover page that you see. If you do that and you send me notification that you've done it, I will send you as a follow-up this cheat sheet that will give you and explain to you the action mode, like how people behave in each action mode, so that when you have your Colby A report, and you can already, based on those bullet points here, guess what your colleagues are and modify your approach. So with that, we're at the end of the webinar. I'm 2 minutes over, I realize, but I'm open the floor for questions.
All right, thank you, Andrew. That's fantastic. All right, folks, it's time to type your questions into the question box, and while you do that, let me tell you what's coming up. Our next Mastermind session is next week. I don't know how many of you have seen this before. It's really been kind of interesting to do. This is a bunch of people from many different organizations and different levels and different industries, and they come together to share their collaborative experience, and we all learn from each other and hold each other accountable for things month after month. It is not free. This is one of the few things we do that isn't, but it helps. It's a fairly low cost, and it makes sure that everybody keeps confidential and that you can actually share what's really going on with you. All right, you can sign up at the TC Dojo website. Next month, I'm going to be the one. I'm going to talk to you about self-publishing. All of us who are tech comm and information professionals, we already know how to publish to the web and publish to print. It's a natural thing for us to be indie publishers. I'll show you that I launched 2 books last year through Amazon, and I'll walk you through all of it and show you how easy it is if you're a tech comm professional to get there. So that's what we're going to do next month. All right, how do you sign up for next month? Go to tcdojo.org and just scroll to the bottom, and you'll see what's coming up all through the end of the year. We've got something great coming in November, but it's not quite announced yet, so keep an eye open. All right. Thank you, Andrew. And let's see what the questions are. We've got a couple. The first one says, I'm already hoping there will be some good book recommendations. Good not meaning academic, but otherwise informative. Do you have good reading selections?
Yes. By the way, I put also the link into the chat box for you, Liz. So if you wanted to share that link to the Colby A, that would be great. Yes, I have book recommendations, and that really depends on what your MO is, right? But if the 2 books that I can suggest is for the fact finders around you. It's called Pure Instincts by Kathy Colby, the MO of high performance people and teams. And for the quick starts around you, there's a book called Powered by Instinct: 5 Rules for Trusting Your Gut, also by Kathy Colby.
All right, I will make sure that gets into the newsletters, and so make sure that you're signed up and all of that, and make sure that Andrew can publish those recommendations also. I'm super glad you gave a couple of examples. Sometimes it's tough to make the theoretical concrete, or maybe that's just my MO showing.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, yeah, it is. Yeah, and everybody wants to see an example, right? So, so if you were initiating a quick start, you'd be probably more excited that it's something new, right? Rather than it has proven in the past. If you initiated in Fact Finder, you would ask me, okay, that sounds interesting, but what is the scientific data, what are the facts, right? Who has used it before me and how, you know? So yeah, everybody wants to see some kind of proof, either that it's new or that it's well researched and has a basis in science, or that it's well organized and has a process, right? Or it can be implemented. So yeah, good question.
Wow, someone else said I had this very thing happen to me recently in a volunteer group. All right, so maybe you've got some strategies to work from. What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, volunteers, absolutely, right? So when you get volunteers in, the one thing that they expect from you is that you tell them what they need to do, right? What volunteers hate is when they come in and then they stand around and they don't know what to do. And I do that here. I volunteer in a soup kitchen, so sometimes volunteers come in, there's nobody there to contribute. Some of them are actually like executives in their companies, and they're like, I don't care if you want me to wash the dishes, but tell me what I need to do. The question is, how do you tell it to them? Do you give them instruction, or do you need to actually show them physically, what they need to do and where things are? And that's or some want the process first and the overview first in order to understand where they belong into the group today. Yeah, good, very, very good question. If you have a set of volunteers or you have your team where you have the same issues or similar issues, let them all do a call BA, and from there you can do a lot of other things. You can make comparison, and everything that I showed you about Mark and Maria here actually comes from real reports that are pulled from two colleagues. So it's not made up. They're from real reports, and you would get a report that will exactly tell you, how you work together, where the conflict areas are, and what is the best thing that you can do to make it work, and what's the worst mistake you can make. So it helps a lot in the relationship and empowering people to work the way they can contribute the best and have the best team synergy.
Excellent, thank you. We got another really good one. What do you do about coworkers who are stuck in a reactive mode? I joined a writing group that is only just big enough that it can take some initiative rather than just reacting to tickets and trying to keep up with documentation. But a few coworkers are stuck in that reactive mode. Is there a way to encourage them to take more initiative? Good question.
Well, I'm not sure what you mean with reactive mode, right? So I assume that, let me go back.
I think it's reacting to tickets rather and trying to keep up.
Yeah, so
let us know if that's correct.
So I assume that you mean this mode here, right? The counteract or the react. And the thing is, whoever asked the question, you still think that they have a weakness. I think you need to change your paradigm. They have a strength. They have a particular strength. And if you want to, somebody who, for example, counteracts in quick start and has a natural tendency to stabilize, which are a lot of people in our profession, let them stabilize the situation. Let them tell you, it's like, I like all your crazy ideas, right? But here are the few things that you don't want to touch, because if you break this, other things fall apart. Because if you're in the innovate area of that, you will just not see it. You will ignore it. But don't make them. You cannot make a hippo a zebra, right? So the art is really to give them the information in the way that they need it. But also put them in a position that they can use their strength in that particular project. I don't know the details of your projects, but that's typically what then I do in my consulting. It's like, based on where the people are, and what you want to achieve, where can we put a person's strength to work. The other thing that you might want to that you may see, that it comes through in the question also, that you have what we call cognitive cloning, that you have too many people in your group that tend to stabilize, and not enough people that want to innovate. And even more important, for example, in the quick start area, the people that in the middle that can accommodate both, that understand the people that want to stabilize as well as the ones that innovate and that are ready to go forward and accommodate both, right? That's what we call team diversity. And a lot of teams, especially in tech talk, because of the nature of the work, they tend to clone around one action, one strength in each action mode. And then that's something that you need to address on the team level that has impacts on your hiring practice and so on.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm trying to make sure that all the questions got answered and that you guys can see in the chat window the 2 book titles and the link to the Colbier if you want it. And Andrew Justine says, yes, that answers my question. Thank you. Excellent.
Awesome. That makes me very happy.
Me too. Because we all have that question after, like, what do I do now? I understand me. I understand them. What am I supposed to do? And, I guess that's one of the MOs that you're telling us. So there we go.
Yeah. Right. So really, like the one thing that you can do is a good start is to take your Colbier. It's like 15 minutes. Everybody who's doing this is very excited about it because you get an immediate report, and everybody who got that report so far said, yeah, you know what, I always knew it, but now I have it. I have a framework and I have words to describe it. I also have a way to talk to my manager. So one of the exercises that I'm doing as a follow-up is a commitment clarifier, where you look at what are my cognitive skills, what kind of work do I like and enjoy, and what is my skill level, and then you develop what is called a value awareness score. And the art here is to really to focus on the work that you want to do, where you can provide the most value to a project, a person, program, or client. But it really starts with the Colbier index.
All right. Well, and I noticed, folks, that I missed one of the slides I was going to tell you about. Andrew's actually going to be doing a whole day version of this course. So if you want to do it and you're in the greater Mid-Atlantic region, he'll be here in September out there in the middle of DC doing a 1-day a 2-hour workshop in the morning at TC Camp. So be sure, if you want to do this and you want to be able to talk to Andrew and ask questions and go through your Colbier and talk to him, or at least have a chance to see him in person, and you're in the East Coast of the U.S., be sure and come to TC Camp. That's tccamp, just like that, .org. It is a nonprofit, and it'll be there Saturday, September 9th. So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope everyone else is too. All right. Thank you, Andrew, for doing this. And we'll see you guys all next month.
Super. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for listening. It was a great honor. And thanks, Liz, for setting this up.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Goodbye.